powder coating apparatus is the oven, convection oven and fluidizing tank and compressor. So we need to make sure first of all everything is plugged in and switched on. In the tank we've got a mixture of different powders. We've got some reds, blues, black and green, and over the time that we've been doing this project the colour has changed somewhat, because every time the fluidizing tank looks a little low we top it up with a different colour and give it a good mix. So to switch the compressor on, flick that switch till the light comes on. The air goes through this rubber hose and into the bottom of the fluidizing tank, and then you will see the air blows up through the fluidizing tank the plastic powder inside the fluidizing tank, although it's very fine now, very fine, it becomes even finer when there's air being pumped in through the bottom of the fluidizing tank, and it allows you to submerge your metal, mild steel usually, into the fluidizing tank, because at the moment it feels quite thick, but when there's air coming through it becomes quite loose and you're able then to fully submerge your work into the powder. So what we need: heat-proof gloves or gauntlets. You open the door. As soon as you open the door you are going to release some of the heat from the oven. Now the heat at the moment is 350 degrees. The reason we know it's 350 degrees is because I've got the dial set on 350 and the green light, which would be above my finger, is out. So if I turn the dial to 360 or 351 degrees, the light comes on. The light comes on to tell you that the oven isn't quite to that temperature yet. So if I turn it back to 350, the light goes out because it's 350 degrees inside of the oven. So the the mild steel shell has been in the oven for 20 minutes at 350 degrees. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hold this hook, open the oven door, and I will select my piece of work very carefully. I will then close the oven door so that everybody else's work can remain hot. Close the door. I'll bring my mild steel, flick the compressor on, and then I will submerge fully my mild steel plate through this hole, being as careful as possible not to touch the wooden sides as you bring it out. Okay, I'll then take it over here, hang it on the drying rack, and if the compressor is still running and nobody switches off for you, then you can make sure that you switch that off. You will have some plastic powder on the top of your glove. Please make sure that after you have hung up your work, you bring your arm and your hand over here and just tilt your hand over the box, over the fluidizing tank to get rid of any of those bits of powder. So your powder coated product will be here, and over the next few minutes that powder will start to form into one full shiny shell. All to do with the molecular structure of the plastic powder. The polymer chains start to join together, start to form, and that powder becomes one full shell. All those rough bumps will disappear, and it will become one smooth and shiny, protective finish onto the mild steel, preventing it from rusting and giving it a nice, aesthetically pleasing finish. In terms of health and safety, this dust is very fine. You've got to be careful that you don't create a lot of dust unnecessarily. And then just try and brush, a slow brush, the powder back into the fluidizing tank like this. You brush it fast, it'll create a lot of dust. Brush it nice and slowly, the dust will stay down. The other health and safety is the oven is very hot, 350 degrees. You must wear oven gauntlets. You must also be aware that the oven door is also very hot. So when you've got your arm next to it here, make sure that the oven door does not swing closed. I only want one person in this area at any one time. There might be someone stood over here, a metre away, at least 1 metre away, and they could perhaps help you turn the compressor on and switch it off after you've finished with it. Whilst your work is up here cooling down, it's also important that you stay away from it, as this also is very hot. It will take 10 minutes at least to cool down. So please watch out for that.